Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're breaking down a piece of source material that is just incredibly bold. I mean, it is unapologetically contrarian, and it takes aim at literally one of the biggest sporting events on the entire planet, the next World Cup. You know, people are constantly asking, is Spain's golden generation aging out? Are those famous tactics finally obsolete? Well, we're going to look really closely at a document that completely upends the conventional wisdom about Spain's future on the global soccer stage. So get ready, because we are unpacking the Spain 2026 FIFA fallacy.
Right off the bat, I want you to think about the overwhelming public consensus out there right now. If you listen to the chatter or, read the sports columns or really just gauge the general mood of global soccer fans, there's this incredibly strong assumption. And that assumption is that Spain is destined for absolute greatness in the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Honestly, some fans are probably already booking their non-refundable flights to the finals. For a lot of people, Spain isn't just a strong contender, they're treated as an absolute lock. But what if that widespread belief is built on a totally shaky foundation? What if the masses are just completely off base? That's exactly the premise we're diving into today.
Section 1. The 2026 Spain Prediction. All right, let's get into the meat of this. We're looking at a highly specific, very provocative document that just directly challenges this prevailing narrative. And I want to be clear, this isn't just a mild, everyday critique. The entire foundation of our source material hinges on acknowledging this massive public consensus. The author totally recognizes that there's this near-universal belief in Spain's upcoming victory. It's like this collective mindset that settled in long before the tournament even kicked off. The text implies that this consensus has grown so overwhelmingly strong that it's not even a prediction anymore, it's treated as an inevitability. Understanding the sheer weight of this public agreement is absolutely crucial because it perfectly sets the stage for the massive disruption the author is about to drop on us.
Section 2. Defining the fallacy. So here is where the source material pivots from just observing that widely held belief to actively tearing it down. The author doesn't just casually disagree, they weaponize a very specific, powerful critical term, a fallacy. Basically, a mistaken belief, especially one based on an unsound argument. By anchoring their entire thesis to this one specific word, the author elevates the whole discussion. It goes from being just another sports debate in a pub into a formal critique of human reasoning. They're explicitly saying the public is mistaken, not because it's a bad guess, but because the underlying argument supporting a Spanish victory in 2026 is fundamentally broken. And that brings us to the exact title of the source text, the Spain 2026 FIFA fallacy. This title is just a definitive, unapologetic stance. There's zero hedging here. You won't find any question marks. It doesn't ask, will Spain win or could Spain lose? No, it definitively declares that the very idea of Spain winning is a complete fallacy. Honestly, it's a phenomenal example of how to title an argument if you want to immediately grab attention and position yourself completely against the mainstream narrative.
Section 3. Why everyone is wrong. Okay, we're really leaning into the contrarian nature of the text now. Having established what the public believes, and having slapped the label of fallacy right on it, the source material starts its systematic teardown. And there is a massive gap here. On one side, you've got this comfortable public consensus that Spain is an absolute lock. On the flip side, you have this harsh, analytical assertion that the prediction is mathematically and tactically flawed. This huge gap between what everyone assumes and what the underlying data actually shows, that's the engine driving this entire text. It essentially forces you to step right out of the comfort zone of majority opinion.
Everyone is wrong. Seriously, just let that statement sit for a second. That's the exact language used in the subtitle of our source material. It's absolute, it's punchy. By using the word everyone, the author kind of isolates you as the reader. It challenges you directly, basically implying that if you agree with the consensus, well, you're part of this massive collective error. And to back that up, the author doesn't just use fancy rhetoric. They start bringing out the heavy artillery. We're talking historical precedent, tactical rigidity, and some pretty alarming demographic shifts within the Spanish roster.
All right, let's actually dig into this evidence. The source material rests on two deeply connected pillars that prove the public consensus is completely incorrect. First off, predicting a Spain win in 2026 is an active fallacy because it totally ignores the tactical evolution of the modern game. The author points out that Spain's legendary possession-based style, it's become entirely predictable to top-tier opponents. Those opponents are now countering with high-pressing, rapid transition offenses. And second, the data shows an aging defensive line that, frankly, simply doesn't have the pace to recover against these modern counterattacks anymore. What we're looking at here is a masterclass in analytical takedown. The author's claim leaves zero room for compromise, showing us with crystal clear tactical metrics that the global sports community has basically walked completely blind into a logical trap.
Section 4. The final whistle.
Let's pull this all together and see how it builds toward a conclusion. What does this highly contrarian perspective actually mean for us? Well, this is exactly why this text matters so much, and it goes way beyond just the sport of soccer. The big underlying lesson here is about the immense danger of early consensus. You see, when everyone agrees on an outcome years in advance, our critical thinking often just shuts down. We stop analyzing the specific variables, like say an aging defense or outdated tactics. We ignore potential weaknesses and we just accept the narrative because it feels safe, right? This document is a huge reminder that we have to actively question universally accepted predictions. Whether we're talking about sports, economics, or just daily life, whenever you see a consensus this thick, it's your duty as a critical thinker to hunt for the fallacy.
Which leaves us with one final, super vital question. If the author is right, if this massive global assumption about Spain is actually a complete fallacy, then what else are we getting wrong? Think about it. What other sure things in the upcoming 2026 tournament are secretly built on unsound arguments and ignored metrics? I really hope this explainer has empowered you to look at the upcoming World Cup and honestly any major consensus with a much sharper, much more analytical eye. Don't just blindly accept the popular prediction, actively hunt for the reality beneath it. Thanks so much for joining me today, and hey, keep questioning the consensus.